The Chicago Bears have hit a brutal asset crossroads, while squads like the Rams and Colts are turning the entire league's financial ledger upside down. We're tracking the immediate roster exposure right now, from that inflated Tyson Bagent rumor to the contract fallout that's dropping premium edge targets into our market window. But the ultimate plays a massive contractual reality, a leaked blueprint to secure a 5-time Pro Bowler carrying a guaranteed $27 million cap hit. If you're liking what we do, click the like button to show your support. It truly means a lot. Thanks again. ESPN's floated a trade proposal that reads like severe administrative malpractice, and it's time to evaluate the hard numbers. The Chicago Bears walked into this offseason with way more exposure than actual assets, and a ton of those premium question marks are still just sitting there on the ledger, completely unresolved and burning a massive hole in our financial runway. Ryan Poles and this coaching staff are pulling their hair out making brutal ledger choices across almost every single spot on the roster. They're tucking everything from the quarterback room to the defensive trenches and the wideout group. Some of these decisions have drawn heavy scrutiny, and frankly, the lack of production justifies the criticism. Let's get straight into the actual market noise. Tyson Bagent's name's getting thrown around in trade rumors more than almost any other backup quarterback in the entire league right now. From a purely economic standpoint, it makes total sense why teams are calling. This kid came in as an undrafted free agent back in 2023 and tore through Chicago's depth chart during his rookie year. He locked down that second-string job immediately, and he hasn't let go of it since. Our head coach, Ben Johnson's been totally direct, saying Bagent's got the actual tools to be a legit starter in this league. That's the exact reason why the front office didn't play games and locked him down with that 2-year, $10 million extension last summer. Now, our general manager, Ryan Poles, is out here telling the media that dealing with this is a really tough decision because the coaches value the player highly. But at the exact same time, he isn't slamming the door completely shut on a potential trade if someone offers a premium valuation. So ESPN's Dan Graziano just dropped a list of speculative offseason trade ideas, and one of them had the Bears shipping tight end Cole Kmet off somewhere else. If you thought that proposal was a complete overvaluation of the market, the next trade on his list goes completely off the rails. He's talking about a straight-up one-for-one swap, sending Tyson Bagent to the Indianapolis Colts to bring back Anthony Richardson. If you look at the raw mechanics, the basic idea here isn't 100% insane. Chicago did dangle Bagent's name in trade talks earlier this offseason to gauge league-wide interest. The vibe around Ben Johnson's offensive playbook and his coaching style could theoretically give Richardson a chance to rebuild his value to the point where another front office pays a premium down the line. Plus, the Bears have still got Case Keenum sitting right there as an experienced veteran insurance policy behind Caleb Williams. The Bears are likely totally fine with moving on from Bagent if some team actually meets their asset threshold. But what they absolutely cannot do is pull the trigger on a broken ledger swap like this. You don't trade away a cost-controlled quarterback your head coach trusts just to take on a guy who lost his starting gig, can't stay on the field, and has zero market pool left. A bonehead swap like that doesn't push this team closer to the playoffs. It drags the whole franchise straight backward into a total financial mess.
While the national media is busy playing fantasy football with our quarterback depth, the actual defensive front is facing a massive asset deficit right now. That massive Myles Garrett trade that went down on June 1st completely broke the NFL landscape, sending major shockwaves through every front office in the league. But you've got to calculate the fallout here, because some of these massive roster shifts are actually going to do a huge solid for the Chicago Bears' financial strategy. When the Los Angeles Rams went all in and grabbed Garrett, they immediately punched their defensive ceiling straight through the roof. Flip the script over to Chicago, where the entire spring came and went without Ryan Poles making a single real move to fix our absolute biggest roster liability, the defensive line. The Bears are sitting on a massive hole up front that's 100% real, and the front office hasn't done a damn thing to close that exposure yet. And that brings us to two specific targets you need to keep your eyes on for the 2027 free agency cycle: Byron Young and Kobe Turner. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler just put out a report saying the Rams are already dropping hints that they won't even try to get summer contract extensions done for players currently on track for free agency in 2027. Sports Illustrated's Mike Moritas took a hard look at Fowler's report and broke down a detailed case for why the Bears need to get right at the front of the line the second these guys are allowed to negotiate, writing, "Assuming none of the trio of Austin Booker, Dayo Odeyingbo, and Shamar Turner step up in 2026, the Bears must upgrade edge rusher next offseason." Let's look at the actual metrics on Byron Young as an edge rusher. The guy's gone out and racked up at least 7.5 sacks in every single one of his first 3 years in this league, even exploding for a massive 12 sacks during his Pro Bowl run back in 2025. He put up a stellar 79.3 run defense grade from the folks over at Pro Football Focus last year, which is a massive upgrade over literally anyone the Bears are trotting out on the field right now. SpotTrack has his next contract projected at a whopping $30 million a year, which is a mountain of cash to commit to one guy. But because Young would be coming to Chicago through standard free agency rather than a trade, Ryan Poles wouldn't have to surrender a single first-round draft pick to get him, which is a massive win, compared to the insane haul of draft capital it'd taken to land a guy like Garrett or Maxx Crosby. A $30 million annual price tag is steep, but that's market value for an elite edge rusher in 2026. Preserving our first-round draft capital while adding a Pro Bowler via free agency is the exact kind of cap manipulation this front office needs to execute. Then you've got Kobe Turner holding things down on the interior. Turner's logged at least 7 sacks in each of his first 3 professional seasons, making him one of the most consistent and productive inside pass rushers in the entire conference. Turner put up a great 70.8 run defense grade in 2025, which absolutely destroys the marks left by Gervon Dexter, Grady Jarrett, and Gallimore last year. Every single one of our guys graded out completely miserable in the 40s against a run, which is a total liability up front. Adding either player would represent a massive shot in the arm for Chicago, but securing both would give the Bears a defensive foundation capable of competing at the highest level. Watching our interior defenders get washed out of plays last year proved our current roster lacks functional muscle. Adding Turner's 70.8 run defense grade fixes that deficit instantly and lets our secondary play with true coverage freedom. Now, pay attention. When management shipped DJ Moore off to the Buffalo Bills earlier this offseason, they executed a pure cash-clearing gamble that stripped the offense of its highest-rated asset, and they still haven't found a single big name to fill it. But things are shaken up because Stefon Diggs, coming off a season in New England that ended with his release from the Patriots, has surfaced in recent reporting as a candidate to land with the Bears. Over at Sports Illustrated, Gilberto Manzano pins Chicago as the absolute perfect spot for Diggs to land, making the case that the Bears' desperate need for a proven target makes them a total no-brainer fit compared to the other squads still kicking his tires. Manzano connects the dots straight back to that DJ Moore trade, noting that Chicago now lacks the kind of established veteran presence at receiver that an offense in its early stages of development typically benefits from, writing, "Perhaps the Bears take a chance on Diggs because they need an experienced wide receiver after trading DJ Moore to the Bills." He made sure to add that Diggs still has plenty of gas left in the tank to make plays on Sunday, even if off-field noise over the last 12 months made certain franchises more cautious. Manzano's layout makes perfect sense on paper. Our pass catcher room is a ghost town when it comes to true veteran leadership, and Diggs' presence instantly shifts how opposing defensive coordinators have to bracket our formations. Following his exit from New England, Diggs drew reported interest from the Washington Commanders, Kansas City Chiefs, Atlanta Falcons, and Los Angeles Rams. The salary cap experts are projecting his actual market value at about a cheap $10 million prove-it deal, supported by a 2025 campaign that included 85 catches, 1,013 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. But you've got to look past the raw box score numbers, because Diggs did a ton of heavy lifting behind the scenes to help bring along young quarterback Drake May during that lone season with the Patriots. For a short-term $10 million flyer, the asset valuation here is an absolute steal for a guy who just gave New England a 1,000-yard season. If the Chiefs and Rams are trying to fit him under their cap, Poles needs to outbid them immediately before our young passing game falls behind. For our Bears, that exact situation hits incredibly close to home. Caleb Williams, the first overall pick from back in 2024, is stepping right into the most important stretch of his life trying to become a true franchise quarterback under Ben Johnson's system. If a veteran receiver's presence was a secret sauce that helped jumpstart Drake May's growth with the Patriots, that exact same setup's going to do wonders for Williams here in Chicago. Whether Poles decides the actual financial cap space works out for a Diggs contract's still up in the air, but the actual football logic behind this move is 100% real.
But even if Poles pulls off a deal and lands a weapon like that to help Caleb out, it won't mean a damn thing if our defense can't get off the field on third down. Out of every single spot where the Bears completely dropped the ball this offseason, that edge rusher position stands out as an absolute operational failure. It's the most glaring, wide-open gap on the entire roster, and everyone with eyes can see it. Chicago enters 2026 without a proven pass rusher opposite Montez Sweat, and the current plan to address that involves young players who carry significant uncertainty. But check this out. ESPN's Dan Graziano just put out a report naming Las Vegas Raiders superstar Maxx Crosby as one of the most realistic targets to get shipped off in a trade this fall. And guess who he threw right into the mix as a top destination? Our Chicago Bears, ranking us as one of the main front offices ready to chase Crosby down if the Raiders put him on the block at the deadline, saying, if a team such as the Cowboys, Bills, Bears, or Patriots finds itself in contention and in need of an impact pass rusher, things could get interesting here again. Pairing Crosby and Sweat on the edge would completely weaponize this front four. That's the exact kind of aggressive asset allocation that turns a fringe playoff defense into an absolute powerhouse. Crosby's spring has been a total circus. The guy was literally traded to the Baltimore Ravens back in March before the whole deal got completely voided at the last second because Baltimore cited concerns about his knee health during his physical. So for the time being, he's stuck wearing the silver and black in Vegas. But let's be honest, the Raiders are stuck in a massive rebuild, and if they start stacking up losses early this season, the chances of them trading Crosby away are just gonna skyrocket. And don't think this Crosby buzz is just fake news made up by national talking heads either. Our own general manager, Ryan Poles, came out and admitted that Chicago actually made some early calls and kicked the tires on Crosby when he was floating around the trade market earlier this spring, saying, "I've said before we're always going to monitor every situation. Sometimes it fits and it works with what you've got going on in terms of resources. Sometimes it doesn't." So we were involved. We checked into it. We looked to see if it made sense, had some dialogue. I'll just leave it at that. Had some dialogue means Poles balked at the trade capital required before the Ravens deal collapsed. But when the deadline hits and the market drops, that valuation changes completely. Hit the subscribe button right now if you want an unfiltered look at this front office's financial playbook all year long. And drop a comment below. Would you part with 2 first-round picks to bring Crosby to Chicago? Or do you let this current edge group sink the season?